Hi everyone, it's me, Darlene. I am going to be doing a combination talking tutorial and speed beading tutorial. I will be going fast on the parts that you don't need to spend too much time watching, but I want to do some talking because it's a little bit easier to explain what I'm doing. In this video, I am going to show you how I can see a magazine page that only has a little bit of what I like, and I'm going to make some chunky beads out of just this little corner of the magazine. And I will be able to get 4 1-inch chunky beads out of just that part. First, I'm going to cut out more than that piece. Oh, let's just rip this here. Just cut out like this much. And I save this for future crafts. Oh, actually, I can use it right for this one. Yes. So what I'm going to do, since I'm making chunky tube beads, here's an example of a bead that I'm going to make right now. You can see that this was actually made with a piece of magazine. And the same thing, I had just a little part of the magazine and I was able to make 4 chunky beads out of it. So that's what we're going to do right now. So we only need our pattern for the final wrap of the bead, but I want the bead to be chunky and stable. So what I'm going to do is use 3 layers of magazine page, and then this will be just the final wrap. So I'm going to show you. I'm just going to trim this lengthwise, and I'm going to get 2 more pieces about that size. This is a good way to use pages that you would not normally use for bead making. And I should be able to get both of them right on here. Let's see if I fold that. At this point, I'm going to lay down my printed paper because I want to get this edge enclosed on the 3rd piece of magazine page that I'm going to glue down. And I use a damp paintbrush to spread my glue. And there's my strip. And I know this doesn't make sense to you right now, but it will. Since my paper is too long for my cutting board, I'm going to just fold a portion of it up. Don't worry about it being straight or perfect because we're going to trim it anyway. I like to put the thick part at the top of my cutting board. It just seems to work a little bit better that way. And I'm going to trim this to 4 inches wide. And now I'm going to trim to 4-inch strips, 4 1-inch strips. And yes, I did that while the paper was still damp. You don't want to cut too fast because if you have some really wet spots, it might tear a little bit, but for the most part, you're just good to cut. And I roll while this is still damp. I am going to be rolling on a fairly big paintbrush because I want my core to be open. Makes the bead that much chunkier. And you always roll with the printed side away from you and at the bottom. See, printed side at the bottom of my strip, and I turn it so it's away from me. And this is where I start rolling. I add a little bit of glue to secure. And you'll see now we are getting to that piece that has the green leaves that we want. And it's going to wrap around. And the whole bead has green leaves. Just going to continue. Okay, I've made 4 beads. These are still wet with glue. And I did want to say that when you're wrapping around a chunky bead, you want your printed paper to be at least like 2.5 to maybe 3 inches long so that you can completely wrap around the bead. If you're using a smaller diameter of tool to wrap around, then you don't need much. The strip can be like maybe 2 inches, like these. See, this is just a much, you know, not as chunky of a bead, and that's paper that I painted. What I like to do is I like to take some glue and with a damp brush I like to put some glue inside the edges here, and that just seals them. Let me see here. That just seals them better, and it'll keep the bead from, you know, you can actually like push that core right through and it'll stop it from doing that. Here's my 4 beads, and I'm just going to let those dry. Okay, these have dried a little, and I'm going to coat them with some super gloss Mod Podge. I use a bigger paintbrush to hold the bead so it doesn't slide all the way down. And I still use my damp brush. Alright, I'm not going to wait for those to dry, but I'm going to show you that I made these the same way. These are with paper that I drew by hand. And these are made with magazine pages, just like I made right now. They've been coated with the Mod Podge. It's hard to see, but they're very hard. And they're very, I mean, they're you know, they're almost like wood. It's very hard to squish them. So I hope you enjoyed learning how to make these chunky beads. Thank you for watching. Bye!